One foul ball. 15 seconds. That's all it took for a random fan at a Phillies game to go from anonymous spectator to the most hated woman in baseball. The clip spread faster than the home run itself, turning a simple moment in the stands into a viral scandal that shocked millions. But how does a harmless tradition, a kid getting a ball at the park, spiral into one of the most humiliating meltdowns of the year? It started like a storybook moment. A foul ball popped off the bat and arced into the stands, bouncing between rows of red seats before landing right where a father and son were sitting. The dad reached down, scooped it up cleanly, and without hesitation, placed it in his son's hands. For the boy, it was supposed to be magic, the kind of memory kids dream about when they walk into their first big league game. For a second, the look on his face said it all, pure joy, the kind you can't fake. But before the moment could settle, chaos erupted. A woman from the row ahead spun around, her arms flailing, her voice cutting through the stadium noise like an alarm. She lunged toward the boy and demanded the ball as if it was rightfully hers. The crowd around them froze in disbelief, trying to process what was happening. Baseball has a simple, unwritten rule. If a kid gets the ball, the story ends there. But this woman wasn't interested in tradition or kindness. She was interested in winning. The dad, not wanting to turn a family night into a public brawl, let the ball go. And with that, she snatched it up, raised it in the air, and screamed in triumph. Instead of cheers, the section erupted into gasps, groans, and boos. In one instant, the most innocent tradition in baseball had been turned inside out. The clip hit social media almost instantly. Within minutes, fans were posting replays of the woman's scream, comparing it to a horror movie jump scare. Some swore it looked like a character straight out of a twisted internet cartoon. Others added dramatic sound effects, turning her victory cry into something out of a parody sketch. The internet had seen a lot of meltdowns, but this one was tailor-made for memes. But what really hit people wasn't just her behavior, it was the boy's reaction. The camera caught him sitting still, shoulders slumped, his face blank with disappointment, while the woman strutted off like she'd just hit the game-winning home run. That single frame, a crushed child on one side and a triumphant adult on the other, told the whole story. It spread across Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok faster than the original broadcast. The father's reaction became its own meme. Arms thrown into the air, head tilted back in disbelief, like he couldn't believe this was real life. Comment sections filled with jokes. That's the look of every parent who's had to deal with a Karen. Edits spliced his reaction with sitcom laugh tracks. Others slowed it down and turned it into looping GIFs. The internet wasn't just mocking the woman anymore, they were celebrating the absurdity of the moment. By morning, the woman was no longer just a random fan in the stands. She had a name the internet wouldn't let go: Phillies Karen. In less than 12 hours, she'd gone from anonymous to infamous, the villain of baseball's biggest viral story. While the woman held the ball in the air like it was her personal World Series trophy, the Phillies organization wasted no time stepping in. They knew what the cameras had caught: a child robbed of his moment. Within minutes, stadium staff found the boy and quietly handed him something far more valuable than a scuffed baseball: a signed bat from the team. The crowd around him erupted in cheers, and the boy's face, once blank with shock, lit up with disbelief. That single gesture turned what could have been a tragedy into a memory he'd never forget. But for the woman, the story only grew darker. Online, her ball was instantly branded as cursed. Fans mocked that it carried radioactive energy, a symbol of shame she could never show off without being ridiculed. What she thought was a victory quickly became a scarlet letter. The internet swarmed. TikTok edits turned her scream into horror movie soundtracks. Twitter turned the father's stunned reaction, arms raised in the air, eyes wide in disbelief, into a meme that spread like wildfire. On Reddit, entire threads broke down the clip frame by frame, mocking her expression, her shouting, and even her triumphant walk. By the time morning hit, she wasn't just some random Phillies fan anymore. She had been christened with a new title that would follow her forever: Phillies Karen. At first, the woman tried to spin her own version of the story. In videos recorded on her phone, She screamed that her own father had ripped the ball out of her hands. She repeated it like a chant, pointing and shouting as if the crowd would suddenly take her side. But the internet isn't the same as it was years ago. In 2025, eyewitness accounts don't matter, footage does. And soon, the footage came pouring in. New camera angles surfaced on TikTok, Twitter, even local news stations. Internet detectives dissected the moment frame by frame like it was the Zapruder film of sports. The conclusion was undeniable. The boy's father clearly caught the ball, then handed it to his son. At best, she may have brushed it as it bounced, but she never once had control. Her excuse collapsed instantly under the weight of slow-motion replays. That discovery shifted the mood online. What had started as a funny viral clip turned into full-blown outrage. Fans weren't just mocking her anymore. They were furious at the way she tried to rewrite history with a lie. Entire threads were dedicated to tearing apart her excuse, pointing out the exact angle where her hand missed the ball. And once the truth was out, the verdict was brutal. She hadn't just stolen from a child. She had tried to scam her way into looking like the victim. And this is where things went from embarrassing to catastrophic. Because this wasn't happening in a vacuum, it came just days after another scandal. A Polish millionaire CEO had been caught snatching a cap out of a little boy's hands at the US Open, instantly becoming the internet's villain of the week. Now, barely a week later, another adult was caught stealing from a kid at a sporting event. The parallels were too obvious to ignore. Side-by-side edits flooded the internet. One photo of the CEO stealing a cap, the other of Phillies Karen snatching a baseball. Captions labeled them the sports villains of 2025. Meme accounts pounced, splicing their faces into parody posters, turning them into the faces of entitlement in sports culture. Even late-night hosts weighed in, cracking jokes about who would be next, what's next, someone steals cotton candy from a child at halftime. But underneath the jokes, a bigger conversation started bubbling up. Fans and journalists alike began asking what these moments said about sports culture today. Why are adults weaponizing their entitlement in spaces meant for children? Why do simple traditions, a foul ball, a free souvenir, keep turning into viral meltdowns? The meltdown wasn't just about one woman anymore. It was a cultural flashpoint, a reminder that in the age of phones, every selfish act gets magnified and replayed until the whole world sees it. By now, it wasn't just about a foul ball. It was about the culture of sports itself. Every major outlet was covering it, from ESPN segments to morning news shows. The Phillies' decision to hand the boy a signed bat wasn't just an act of kindness, it was damage control. PR experts pointed out that teams today understand how quickly scandals can outlive the game. A single bad headline can hang over a franchise longer than a losing season. And fans were connecting the dots. 2 scandals in a single week, first the millionaire CEO at the US Open, now Phillies Karen at a baseball game. It didn't feel like a coincidence anymore. People began asking tougher questions. Why do adults keep ruining childhood moments? Has sports culture become so self-centered that even kids aren't safe from it? On social media, threads shifted from laughter to anger, debating whether leagues should ban adults caught stealing souvenirs from children. The lesson was clear. In 2025, the line between a small mistake and public humiliation is razor thin. Every camera angle is captured, every scream is recorded, and every excuse can be disproved within hours. Sports organizations know it. Fans know it. And now, thanks to one foul ball, the woman in Philadelphia knew it too. For the boy, the night ended with a priceless gift and a story he'll carry for life. For the woman, it ended with something far heavier, the loss of her anonymity. Local newspapers quickly published her name. Fans exposed her exact section and row. Screenshots of her face spread across the internet like wildfire. She wasn't just that woman at the Phillies game anymore. She was Phillies Karen, branded forever by one viral clip. Unlike the millionaire CEO who lost his job and reputation, she had no public status to protect. But what she lost was arguably worse. She could never walk into a ballpark again without wondering if someone would point and whisper, "Isn't that her?" The ball she clutched that night didn't make her a hero. It marked her as a permanent villain in sports culture. Her 15 seconds of infamy became a lifetime of recognition she never wanted. Her story is now a cautionary tale. Proof that in the modern sports world, no one is invisible. One wrong move, one selfish act, and the internet can turn you from anonymous to infamous overnight. And that's the terrifying reality of sports in 2025. A single foul ball turned a routine game into a viral disaster. One fan thought she won a prize, but in reality, she lost something much bigger, her reputation. Because today, the scariest curse isn't bad luck on the field, it's going viral in the stands. And if one ball can ruin someone's life, just imagine what the next meltdown will look like. Subscribe now because the next viral scandal might already be loading in your feed.